I'm Roach. I'm the world builder at 13th Moon Games.
And I'm Stefan. I'm the mechanics guy at 13th Moon Games.
And we have a game called Coven Crucible, which is...
It's a ttrpg of modern day witchcraft and magic. It's kind of like if the movies John Wick and The Last Witch Hunter got together and had a really pretty baby, it'd be our game.
And we are running a backer kit for the game. We're starting in April, and part of the rewards that we are offering for the campaign is teas. We're going to have one tea for the Coven, one tea for the Crucible. We are working with Friday Afternoon Teas, and they sent us some to taste test to decide which ones we're going to be offering for the campaign, and we decided to film this.
That's what we're doing today.
Now, the reason why we have two different teas, and the reason we went with the black tea for the Coven is this it's a corporation of witches that its stated goal is to protect and forward the benefits of witches, basically to protect the interests of witches and look out for them across the world. But it also is a corporation, and we're filthy anti-capitalist, so that's kind of the bad guys in our game. And so when we were talking with Friday, Friday Afternoon Tea, the consensus was that the Coven would be a black tea.
So for those of you that don't know, the Coven is ruled by the CEO and a board of directors. The board of directors is made up of the head of the 9 major witch houses and then 3 independent houses, with the CEO being the 13th tie-breaking vote. There's a lot going into the politics of the Coven, and while our core Reforged, which is what we're doing this backer kit for, is set for in Chicago, and the Coven presence isn't prominent there. It is still a political aspect of the game that can be incorporated into your tabletop game if you want. This one is reminiscent of a boardroom, but kind of it elicits this sensation of wealth and power, and I like that.
Oh yeah, East India Trading Company.
Yes, that, yes.
Because that's one of the reasons the Coven came about in the late 1500s, because witches who had money and power decided that they wanted to have this global power and reach. And so the Coven is very much based off of the East India Company. So you'll see that the Coven has outposts in various parts of the world, and various parts of the world have pushed back on that. So yeah, this has like, the bergamot is kind of like the teeth behind the civility. So the other thing about it, while we make out the Coven to be this kind of sinister organization, they do things for witches in this game. They often will settle disagreements between witches, because the legal system in our game does not work very well with magic. It tends to take a hands-off approach to magic, and so witches will often, rather than go through the legal process if they have an issue with another witch, they will go through the Coven, because you want to avoid witch wars. You don't want 2 powerful witches fighting each other either directly or via proxies. So they can go to the Coven, they can do something like do a duel, and you have a witch duel where they fight each other, and it's kept very gentlemanly, very ordered, and that way you can avoid nasty fallout. So this...
Alright, let's see what we got.
Let's see. Does this taste like a witch duel? Let's see. Fun fact about the Coven is that it has, in order to be part of the Coven, there is a yearly membership fee, which they've not raised in years because they want to have as many witches as possible be part of them. And they don't get their money directly from membership fees, they get their money other ways. But you can pay your membership fee not only in money, but if you don't have that, you can pay it in things like giving materia magica, which are spell components, doing favors, doing services with like magic items and potions. So they have over, having been around for, what is that, 400, 500 years almost, they have huge warehouses just full of all these magic items and magic materia, and then they have ledgers full of this is who we call on if we need this thing. So it's corporate and expansive, and the idea is it's a place that has been around forever. So most people, well, most mundane people don't really know about the Coven, or if they do, they're aware of it in any, like if you're aware of J.P. Morgan or other ultra worldwide corporations, conglomerates, but for witches, it's been around forever. Okay, so I think then based on that, we are going to go with
Number four, which is the black tea, the oolong, the pu'er, ginger, and black pepper. So this is going to be our Coven choice. When we do the campaign, when it goes live, you'll be able to pledge at a tier to get tea that tastes like you would be sipping it at the Coven. Board of Directors.
With the Board of Directors. Okay, so the Crucibles in Coven and Crucible are these, it's a network of hotels that is throughout the world, and it was created about the same time as the Coven. This is one of the reasons why there is conflict between the Coven and the Crucibles, is because they both emerged around the same time doing two separate things. So the Crucible network came into being as a place for witches to hide, because up until like the late 17th century, there were lots of places that outlawed, especially in Western Europe, that outlawed witchcraft. And so these places where witches could hide out from the law sprung up. And then if you're going to have these witches in a place, you need to make sure that they are not going to turn on each other. So the Crucibles, they're these hotels, they're throughout the world. It's a network, and their two main focuses are, one, for the safety of witches, and two, for the it's called hospitality. They use the idea of hospitality, that you don't harm anybody, you don't steal from them, anybody who's in these safe places.
Yeah, they're definitely, like, they're magically protected. They have private security and they're also independent. So none of the managers or any of the people that own, like they run the Crucibles, are not part of the Coven. They are not Coven witches.
Because the Coven looks at the Crucible and says, oh, here's a place, it's about witches, so therefore as witches we should have something to do, we should have our fingers in those pies, but also, oh, it makes money, well, we should have part of that. And the Crucibles are determined to stay independent, so they repulse and rebuff any attempts by the Coven to take them over. So when we were talking to Friday about the teas for the Crucibles, we wanted them to be cozy and safe feeling, and
it's definitely,
yeah, you nailed it.
yeah, this
right off the bat, Friday. Nice job.
yeah.
Nicely
Yes,
done.
yes.
By the way, all your teas are amazing. And
yes.
cool. All right, so this like, now with the Reforged, like I said, it's set in Chicago. So there is a Crucible in Chicago, and there is a lounge in the Chicago Crucible called the Embers, And I sip this, and I immediately see myself in this, because it's got these kind of reddish, tones to it, very red and wood and homey. I don't want to say cottage, but very lodge-esque, right? And I immediately saw myself sitting in one of these lavish booths in the embers. The image evoked immediately from sipping this.
See, I'm opposite, because what it evokes for me is, because the Chicago Crucible, it's a hotel. It's a very large, high-end hotel. Not all the Crucible hotels are high-end, but some of them are. And it has a lobby, and this tastes like the kind of tea that they would serve to people sitting in the lobby waiting for their meeting, waiting to see people. I've always envisioned the embers, because it's a lounge, that it's much more about
bourbony, smoky.
Yeah, and this is where you would find they would have the plate of fresh baked cookies that are there for people to for guests to have.
This is really good. Yeah, no,
I like this.
Yeah. That's a good image. Yeah,
yeah, that's I think they definitely serve this for their waities.
Yep.
I'm a fan.
And not all of the Crucibles have lounges and stuff. Some of the Crucibles are just a series of rooms and you don't get amenities. Well, and also, I mean, it kind of has a smoky to it, so that's very much indicative of a hearth.
Okay, so here's my thought. I like this one better for the Coven, or for the Crucibles than the first one.
Okay.
Because I'm feeling very much like I'm sitting next to a fire.
Yeah.
And hearth, like you said, hearth, cozy, and this definitely this gives me warm, safe vibes, rather than the first one gave me vibes of being in a hotel.
That's
right?
fair.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I get that.
and the whole idea is, yes, the Crucibles are hotels, but they're also safe, neutral places for witches, and I think that this encapsulates that more. Encapsulates that more.
Also, I could totally taste this with like a shot of high-end whiskey in it. Where you come in from the cold and you found a safe place and they're like, here, have a hot toddy. There you go. So the Crucibles, they are worldwide. There's many in different parts of the world. They tend to be not known by people outside Witch Society. Anybody outside of Witch Society would presume that they're just, oh no. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is hard. This one's hard. But anyone outside of Witch Society just sees them as hotels, if they even notice them at all, because the Crucibles have a. I'm sitting here talking about the game, and Stefan's just snorting away.
It's so good.
Just get one. It can't be that good. I mean, it's good. I don't see the hype. And more for you, I guess.
But they will have wards around them to keep from being seen by anybody who isn't a witch, because again, they're safe places for witches. So that is the whole idea. Is just that back in the late 1300s to about the 1500s, 1600s, you had witch trials, and they call it the burning time, even though they didn't actually, in our history, they didn't burn witches, they burned heretics, they hung witches, but it's popularly known as the burning times, and so that's the way it is in the book. And these Crucibles were not hotels to begin with. They were, individual houses or pubs or inns, and it just eventually turned into this network of hotels. And they have all sorts of ways to enforce that protection. They've got wards up, they've got security, they have, and then they also have dire consequences if you break hospitality, to the point where if a witch kills another witch on Crucible grounds and it's found out, that they will put a bounty on the murderer's head, and it'll be open season for anybody to bring the transgressor in, either dead or alive. There are rumors that sometimes witches who have transgressed or broken hospitality have had things like their souls sucked out of their body and kept in a bottle, or their skulls mounted on in a jar or in a case, stuff like that. So there's not something you should mess with. And those rumors, they may or not be true, but they are good deterrents. So that is the end of our tea tasting. Thank you for sitting through it with us. We're going to be going with number 4 for the Coven, number 2 for the Crucibles. Again, we're going to have a campaign for this. It starts April 9th for the 2nd edition of Coven and Crucible
Called Reforged.
We hope that you will join us. If you go and follow us on BackerKit, you will get a free quick start guide that helps you learn a little bit more about the game. Thank you so much.